We are ready to just roll right into it. Hopefully you got Catching Fire ready. I already have everything prepared. I have my trivia. I realized we didn't rank the films last time. So we'll do that as well. All right, let's get started with the movie and we'll get on with the trivia. 2 hours, 26 minutes, and 16 seconds. Right as I say zero, we're all gonna push play. Three, two, one, zero. My mouse is really bad, so I apologize for that. But anyway, let's get rolling. And the volume is pretty low. Let me turn that up. My volume is all the way up. My computer is pretty quiet too, so even when I turn it up all the way, it's not actually loud. Let's get started. All right. I all my trivia is on my phone, so I'll be using my phone a lot during the live stream. But don't worry, I'm not distracted on my phone. I'm focused on you guys. All right. So remember, Katniss and Peeta won the Hunger Games by doing a Romeo and Juliet suicide, and now they're experiencing the aftermath of winning the games. And Katniss is hunting in the woods like she used to do before the games. So it's not easy. The sun is rising. I know. We want to get that sun to stop rising, don't we? Sunrise on the Reaping. All reference to that in the book. So I've been doing the book marathon off public, but in the book they have a whole chapter based on Haymitch's games, and I can't believe how much they spoiled the book already. I mean, like, I read the prequel book before I read the Catching Fire, but anyway, still, I'm surprised at how much is in there about Maisley and stuff. That is not going to be in this movie, by the way. I also found out that you know how they get training scores, and Katniss got an 11 and Peeta got an 8. This movie they both got 12s, and I didn't know that, and that's just because I didn't read the book. So that's crazy how much they take out and how little you can know about something if you don't read it. So anyway, so yes, I've been reading the books now. I'm gonna know every Hunger Game lore by the time the new movie comes out. Oh, poor Gail. But I've been watching the movies for 7 years ish, so I know what goes on in the movies, just not the books alone. There's that one point where Katniss is escaping the fence, and she finds people from District 8 finding on a journey to find District 13. She comes back and the fence is on. She can't get back into her own district. There was that was cut out of the movie. I found that out while reading the book. I realized too that when I read the first book, there's not much cutting out between the first book and the movie. But the second book, there is a bunch of things they cut out. But it's a lot less character thought and more action based. Katniss has PDHD, whatever. She has PTSD from the Hunger Games, and she thought she saw a man instead of a turkey. She's freaking out. Anyway, she can breathe. Come on, Katniss. Come on, breathe, girl. You're fine. Sorry, I should get started with the trivia, should I? Hang on a second. All right. Okay, I'm gonna read some trivia, so I hope you're ready. Um, this has mixed trivia for the first and second movie. Okay. Well, let's just get through all the trivia now because I want to rank the movies and stuff. And really quick, let me read the to you, remind you how I found the Hunger Games. Okay, this one will not take the whole movie. It's long, but I wrote it down. Whoa. Okay, it is long though. Wow, it is long. Okay. In 2020, they forced all reading teachers to read Hunger Games as a class as part of the school curriculum. So I read it. If I didn't, I would have failed the class. I had to read it to get an A in the class and a book report on it. The whole class had to do a book report and some assignments that went along with the chapters, so I read it, but due to COVID, we did not watch the movie as a class. So May 18th, 2020, my birthday, I rented all four movies because I only read the first book. I did not know what was going to happen in the sequels. I was too lazy to want to read the books. So I then found out Songbirds and Snakes was coming out a month later. However, I was not interested in the books. at the time. So I stuck to the movies until 2024. I saw the movies, Songbirds and Snakes in theaters 2023. And again, because I never read the book, I was surprised. I was expecting to feel sympathy for President Snow, but found out he was just as evil from the beginning. However, after that, I decided to start getting the books the following year. I did not read them though. I wanted to, but I got too busy, and I'm not much of a reader. Read Reader or fan of reading. Fan of Hunger Games, but not a fan of reading. But anyway, I did watch that on my birthday, May 18th. I did watch all the movies. I obviously not Songbirds and Snakes because it was just coming out as a book that year, but you know what I mean. I read them. I watched all the movies for the first time on my 18th birthday. And so yeah. Okay. I think was that my golden birthday? Oh yeah, because I was turning 18 and my birthday's May 18th. So it was also my golden birthday. I watched the movies for the first time on my golden birthday. How rare is that? That's only once in a lifetime. Anyway, sorry, off topic. Let me finish reading this. Um, Otherwise it will take the whole movie again if I go off script. I wanted to, but I got too busy. Yeah, I said that. I don't like reading books even if they're good. Fast forward to 2025, and when Sunrise on the Reaping came out, I just had to read it because I was impatient to wait for the movie. Once I read it again. It was the only book that made me cry. Hamish, Lenore, Dove, Duh, Sid, Hamish's mom. It's not in the book, but he probably lost his dad as well. Oh yeah, this is a okay. Pause the reading. This is a great scene. Um, where President Snow is going to District 12 to pay Katniss a visit, and he does not like. We said this at the end of the first film. He does not like the Barry Act, and he's forcing Katniss to convince him that he's in love with Peeta because all the districts, not all the districts, some districts want to start an uprising, a war, and President Snow doesn't want to do that, and neither does Katniss. So President Snow's trying to help Katniss, because President Snow is not convinced that she did it for love, and the Romeo and Juliet. She thought it was an act of defiance. So he's trying to make it so it is because of love, and so Kenneth has to convince Snow that he's in love with Peeta. Otherwise, District 12 will be destroyed. Anyway, I like this scene. President Snow is a big evil dictator and threats, and he's really good at making threats. Okay, I'm gonna finish reading this now, and then I will shut up. Okay, let's see. Where was I? Let's see. 2025. And when Sunrise and the Reaping came out, I just had to read it because I was too interested in Hamish and it was too important to wait for the movie. Once I read it again. It was the only book. I know I said this again, but it's hard to start exactly where I left off. So please bear with me. That made me cry. I did not get the book right when it came out, though because I was poor, I had to wait till that summer after the 4th of July to finally read it. It was just a couple weeks after Independence Day, and I was so upset that I found out Reaping Day was the same day, and that I just barely missed it celebrating it that first year after the book came out, 2025. I was able to make up for it in 2026. I did make me It did make me wish I got the book a lot sooner though, either sooner or right when it came out. At least I read it though. Then I got off the Hunger Games and forgot all about the other books for about a year. July 4th, 2026, I reap one. I start remembering about it, and I get back into the Hunger Games by doing a little reaping on my family vacation. I reaped one boy and one girl from my mom's side of the family and dad's side of the family. To fight to jokingly, not really, fight to the death. Not really, just for fun. But I put them in a digital simulator. My boy cousin, um, on my dad's side of the family, won the Hunger Games. But as far as fallen tributes go, because we took after my dad's last name, I put my siblings as part of my dad's side of the family. And my sister was the girl tribute that died on my mom's side of the family, on my dad's side of the family, my sister. And then on my mom's side, I unintentionally read two of my cousins that were siblings. So I have like 30 cousins, and out of all those 30 cousins, there's like 10 families, and I ended up reaping a boy and a girl from the same family accidentally. That was not intentional. Like some people have theories about the reaping being rigged, like Prim's name actually being in there more times and stuff. Anyway, uh, I think it was only in there once. It's fine. But like anyway, sometimes the capital lies, right? I'm not lying. That was completely accident that I got a brother and sister from another family, like cousins, like my cousins. So anyway, that was not intentional. Everyone's name was in there, and there were a bunch of other people that had more slips. Not because they bought Tesserae, but because of their age. They had more slips than these two brothers and sisters. So I'm surprised I picked them. Anyway, my let's see, where was I? Read two of my cousins that were siblings from the same family. I was hoping to get two completely different cousins, but nope. I reaped a brother and a sister from my family of from a family of three, making the oldest sibling and only child. Um, I told my uncle how sorry I was, and he played along, trying to make it okay. A couple of weeks later, I decided, in preparation for the upcoming movie, to read all the books and watch all the movies July 20th, which marks exactly 4 months before Sunrise and the Reaping um, comes out on November 20th. Yeah, anyway, and it was exactly 18 weeks. It was exactly 18 weeks away. I decided to use that in time frame and maximize my marathon to the day it comes out. By the time the film releases, I will have finally read all the books. Some will be for the second, third, or fourth time because I read the first one in Sunrise of the Reaping a lot. But the other books will be for the first time. Others will be for the first time. I said that. With there being 18 weeks, that's just enough for Colin's. That's just enough for Suzanne Colin's separate, but all her books into three sections. So because each Hunger Games has three sections, part one, part two, part three, right? Um, I figured one section per week. So the first week I read part one of the Hunger Games, then I read part two, and then I read part three. Then I did the same thing with Catching Fire. I finished part one, then I read part two, and this week we finished part three. 5 books times three equals 15. So to make that 18 weeks, because there's 5 books, I put in intermission week right after Mockingjay. So after the original trilogy, take a week off before you start the prequels, and then Songbirds and Snakes. That way, after I finish the original trilogy, I could take a break before starting the prequels. Yeah, I said that. Sorry. I should stop going off script because then I end up repeating myself when I go back on script. Since Songbirds and Snakes is 150 pages longer than the other books, whereas the other 520 pages, whereas the other books are between 370 390 pages. Since Songbirds and Snakes is a way longer than that, I decided to give Songbirds and Snakes 4 weeks. Besides, there's only two prequels instead of three, so it makes it up for the 1/3 absence of a third prequel. I hope we get a third book someday. But like how that's divided, because there's still only 3 parts, is that you read most of part one on the first week, then you finish part one and do half of part two, then you finish part two and do some of part three, and then you finish the rest of part three on week four. So that's how I kind of divided it into 4 weeks, even though there's not 4 parts. Anyway, I'm almost done. Each section has 10 chapters instead of 9. So, with each section being a chapter longer and the chapters themselves are a couple pages longer, I figured each section would take 1 week and 1/3, with each taking an extra couple days. 3 sections with a 1/3 of a week each adds up an extra week by the end of the book. Yes, I kind of already explained that. Anyway, Sunday it becomes the epilogue day, and Songbirds and Snakes has the longest ever longest epilogue as well. which is why I deserved its own. Which is why I think it deserves its own day. That adds up to 4 weeks, 17 out of 18 weeks, with Sunrise and the Reaping being 380 pages, like the other books. We return to 3 weeks, right? 1 week per part, right? So that makes us finish a week before this movie comes out. The final week of the marathon is another intermission week where I take a break from finishing the prequel, from finish reading the prequels and finishing my marathon. Take a week off before I actually go and see the new movie. That explains all 18 weeks, two intermissions, and then extending the Songbirds and Snakes book. That's how my marathon runs. Anyway, and it allows me to, let's see, whereas I take a break, finish the prequels, yada yada yada. And since the last one makes me cry, it allows me a week of emotion. It allows me a week to emotionally prepare for the movie instead of finishing the book and going right into it. The movies are part of the marathon as well. But after finishing each book, I go straight to watching the movie since I have to start the next book the following week. So far, I've been watching the movie on either the Saturday or Sunday at the end of the third week. I'm also watching it with you guys. Since Mockingjay is cut in half, my plans for the movies are either watch them back to back on a Saturday or Sunday, then or the third week after we finish the book, or since there's an intermission week between that and the prequels, I could watch part one right after finishing the book and then wait a week before watching part two, just before I start reading Songbirds and Snakes for the first time, because I haven't actually read that book still. I have not decided what I'm going to do about that yet, but think I don't know for I think I know for certain Songbirds and Snakes is going to be 4 weeks. So instead of watching the movie at the end of the third week, I'm watching the movie. I'm watching that movie at the end of the fourth week after reading the book. I am then forced to become to be because and then forced to because we go back to 3 weeks again. Wait a week after reading Hamige's book because unlike the other movies that are already out, this one won't be out yet. There won't be a movie after reading Sunrise the Reaping. I'll just have to wait until it comes out. Which is why I am doing this marathon in the first place, but I'm okay with that since it is the saddest book of the whole franchise. I could use a week off of break. I can then prepare. I don't need to emotionally prepare for Primrose's death or Lucy Gray's, but I do. Sorry, I know it's important and impacts people's lives that Prim dies, but I think Hamige's story is even sadder than Katniss's. So anyway, because at least Katniss still has her mom, you know, uh, and Peeta by the end of the trilogy, but Hamish doesn't. He doesn't just lose his little Prim brother, right? Who's like Prim, right? He doesn't just lose Sid. He loses his mom. He loses anyway. It's worse. Anyway, feel free to argue, but I do need time to prepare for Sid's death, Lenore Dove's death, Hamige's mom's death, Luella's death, Lulu's death, Maisley's death, Willie's death. There's a lot of deaths that family member deaths in here. And even though some of these are tributes and they're not directly family members of Hamage, she does have emotional ties to them. And I can't remember his name, but Hamige's ally after Lulu. I don't remember his name either. But before Maisley, that's 8 people Hamage loves that dies. Katniss only lost Prim, Rue, Finnick, and Peeta. Temporary when he was captured by the Capitol and brainwashed. So she only lost 4 loved ones. She lost Snow lost 2, Lucy Gray and Lucy Gray. Oh yeah, Snow lost 2 people. I don't know why I wrote that on here. I think it was think oh yeah, his father and his mother, whatever. Lucy Gray lost 0 people, and Peeta lost his whole family, but his siblings and mother and father were barely mentioned or noticed in the books and movies. They weren't mentioned enough for us to care about them, unlike the characters in Hamige's book. So, out of the characters that we are emotionally invested in, Sunrise on the Reaping adds the most weight of loss and sadness for having the most people we care about die, and that are mentioned in the books and the movies. Enough to make us feel heartbroken if they died. Yeah. It also makes it the hardest book to get through. I don't know if you agree with me on everything I just said, but I hope you do. Especially since Hamish, you're free to have your own opinion. How close are we to the end of this? Okay, especially since Hamish is the main character, unlike Peeta, and he lost everybody he loved. He lost everybody he loved, like Katniss, and still had Peeta and had her mom in the end. Finally, Hamish didn't turn evil like Snow, which allows you to care about him and sympathize with him more since he stayed good and wanted to end the games, unlike Snow in Songbirds and Snakes, who continued them. He also didn't disappear gray. He stayed to fight. And once Katniss came along, at least he was drunk and dumb for what, 24 years? Keeping his promise. Oh, look. Katniss was talking about how much she loved Rue, and it involved killing some District 11 people. Sorry, I'm all, we haven't been focused on the movie because I've been trying to read this. He stayed out to fight. Let's see. He stayed to fight, keeping his promise that he to Lenore Dove that he would stop the sun from rising before she died by continuing to stop the sun from rising on the reaping. Yep, he failed for 24 years, but then Katniss came along and she got the sun to stop. These are all the reasons why Hamish is the better character and why his story is more sadder than everyone else's. This is also how I came across the series and what I'm doing in preparation for the upcoming movie. How long did it take me to read all that? 21 minutes. That's not the whole movie. That's only 21 minutes. And there's still 2 hours and 4 minutes left. I was expecting it to only be 5 minutes. I'm sorry, guys. But anyway, how was that? I did go off script a little bit, so you could blame me for that. But it was still 10 to 15 minutes if we didn't go off script. So, man, okay. Now that I've read that out of the way, and you know how I fell in love with the Hunger Games, I know I acted like a robot. I was reading from a script. I didn't even have it memorized. I wasn't even looking at the camera. I was like this the whole time. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Remember that meeting with President Snow? Katniss is finally telling Haymitch and Peeta about the uprising in the districts and how President Snow wants Peeta and Katniss to actually be in love, so that they won't start a rebellion. Oh, they killed the guy. How sad. All right. Sorry. You wanted the trivia. I'm finally going to give it to you. Okay? I just wanted to remind you how I fell in love with the Hunger Games. So let's go through this trivia. And then that's pretty much it. So I hope this trivia can take us the whole movie. But I'm tired of reading from my phone, so I'm going to take a little break before I start them. Okay? They're going on their victor tour, to all the districts to talk about how they won and how they respect those that died in behalf of their win. Like Thresh and Rue. That was probably the hardest one for Katniss because that was the closest ally she ever had. So the other ones are not that hard. The victor tour of the 74th games. She's been reading from the script this time. Oh, did you see that little girl? I do remember that being in the book. She said, "I'm going to volunteer just like you did." That's scary. The fact that she's Prim's age right now, that's the last thing you should be saying. But she did say someday. So maybe when she's Katniss's age, she'll volunteer. Wow. Katniss is like, "You really want to fight to the death? You find that fun? That's not fun. That's torturous." Only Capital finds it fun. And that girl's district. She's not Capital, and she thinks it's fun. She wants to volunteer. Katniss is setting a bad example for her unintentionally. Cause never. May the odds be never in your favor. Interesting. See, Panem today, Panem tomorrow, Panem forever. No one likes that Katniss is saying that, and the whole crowd is upset. It's President Snow's granddaughter. It's the first time we're seeing her. Everyone at school wears it like this now, Grandpa. Be careful, he's the president. Yeah, she's wearing her hair like Katniss, and there will come a point where President Snow says the symbol of the Mockingjay is forbidden. So I mean, like, she won't be wearing that for long. Her hair like that. Yeah, you might as well get married. You're stuck on this train forever. You're stuck being celebrities. You might as well continue the romance, the star-crossed lovers, right? Lethal lovers. They're legal. Caesar Flickerman. His hair is purple this time. It was blue before, now it's purple. Yep. So they go to all the districts, and their last stop is president's mansion. So chins up, smiles on. She already said that. I said that late. So if you think that you're behind, you're not. Oh, breathe it all in. I thought she was gonna say soak it all in. Never mind. They're at the final stop on their tour. Yay! Come, come. This is the party where we get introduced to Blutarch. Blutarch Heavensby. Right? Peeta and Katniss are walking through the crowd. I'm sure they have nice dresses. Oh, fire in the hole! If he just said. Hopefully you're in sync. You're probably fine. I never paused it since we started. Come on, come on. I was gonna say I want to see Seneca Crane. No, he's dead. He died in the first movie. Died in the second book, but died in the first movie because they put that in the first movie. But I meant Blutarch. I want to see Blutarch. I've seen him before. I've seen these movies. What am I saying? This food looks delicious. I mean, they're rich people, right? It's for when you're full. I don't think you want to drink that. Yeah, how else can you taste everything? You need a drink that will keep you from being full. Okay. No, I'm not here for the food. I'm here to dance with Katniss. They're supposed to act like they're in love. Yep, some of this food you should give to District 12, honestly. You're too rich to be rich! There's Blutarch's Heavensby. Woohoo. She's gonna dance with Katniss. I mean, he is gonna dance with Katniss. Blutarch Heavensby. The game maker um who will not be executed. Unlike Seneca Crane, right? He will stick around. Fun is my job, he says. He's head game maker. He took Seneca Crane's place and he volunteered to do the games. He probably has some rebel plan, right? We all know this. Why did you volunteer? A chance to make the games mean something. That's why he volunteered, and Katniss volunteered for her sister. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You volunteer to be head game maker. I would rather volunteer to be head game maker than be a tribute. It's the president's welcome. It's the president's welcome. I'm trying to make a song out of the music. Bow, 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 bow. It's funny. Effie Trinket. There's President Corleone Snow. I'm praising a villain here. That's not good. Let's listen to the speech first. President Snow's trying to pretend to be pleased by the fact that they're getting married, but I don't think Katniss is doing enough to convince him that they're in love. He's closely he's closely watching Katniss to see if she's a rebel, and she's not yet anyway. Fireworks! Capital fireworks! This is also the first time. Look, listen, look right here. This is also the first time where we start seeing President Snow drop some blood into his drink. He's losing blood, that's for sure. Look, he's shaking his head at Katniss. He's like, "I'm not convinced, Katniss. You got to be more in love." What is it going to take to convince the president that you're in love with Peeta? Maybe you got to completely let go of Gale or kill Gale or something. Let's see. They are heading home because it's the end of their tour. Oh, look at all the white roses. That reminds me of President Snow. Okay, I think it's time for that trivia, right? It's just that first 20 minutes, we were not focused on the movie at all. I was just reading from a manual here. And so I wanted to try to watch the movie a little bit before we get into the trivia. As of right now, Katniss is watching Rebellion Rise. She's a Mockingjay. Plutarch agrees with President Snow that Katniss should die. He's a double sided double crosser here though, because we find out that he's actually working for the rebels, and he's just he, instead of doing it from the outside, he's doing it from the inside by pretending to be on President Snow's side in the Capitol, just to be in the system. And that's how he's a game maker. If they knew he was a rebel, they wouldn't let him be game maker. So that's why he has to play bad guy just to start a rebellion. He's an undercover cop, right? Anyway, and then President Snow has probably told Plutarch to do a lot of bad things that he regrets. That's the thing about being an undercover cop. You have to do things you're not proud of, and that sometimes break the law just to find out what the bad guys are up to. Sometimes you bend the rules a little bit for the greater good. Unfortunately, that's not what happens. All the allies and friends that Katniss betrays, they're going to hate her so much they're going to end up killing her. Snow. That doesn't end up happening, unfortunately. But great strategy, right? Gale! Katniss hasn't seen Gale since before the tour. Since the movie started! Okay. I'm going to start reading trade, but they're going to also, they never kissed during the whole time in 12. So growing up, they acted just as friends, but Gale actually loved Katniss, even though Katniss didn't realize it herself. And, to prove his love to Katniss, knowing that Gale loves her back now after having to fake love Peeta, Gale has to share a kiss since they're probably never going to be together due to the public eye of Katniss and Peeta. Gale should have volunteered for Peeta's place because Katniss actually loves Gale, and President Snow can sell that. Yeah, see, Gale and Katniss are expressing their love together, but they can't be together because of Peeta. So anyway, Gil, I know he shares in the scene. He gives Katniss at least one kiss because he wanted to have at least one kiss with her. Once they're married, you're not allowed to be kissed, but she's not a married woman yet. What do you mean you wish you ate the berries and died like you were supposed to? Come on! Come on! Gil, Gil is kind of excited that a rebellion is finally happening. But Katniss is like, I should not defied the Capitol. She's thinking that maybe I should let the games go on because she's too scared to fight back. Gale's not. Peacekeepers are coming. You might want to hide. Yeah, Gale's staying here. Katniss can do whatever she wants. She can run away if she wants to. Luckily, she stays to rebel, though, eventually. In the book. It isn't probably shown in the movie, but she ends up staying. New peacekeepers have just arrived to bring order and strictness to the district. See, some peacekeepers are nice, but some aren't like Commander Threat. They're strict. Security is here. The things are not looking safe in 12. They just put strict in order in the district. They're looking through things. Man, they're really destroying everything, making their job harder. Oh my goodness. They're burning everything. They're evil. Yep, setting everything on fire. Really destroying whatever little they have. Man, this was not just President Snow's idea, but Plutarch's idea too. Gale interferes with someone about to kill someone, and now they have to get Gale, and he's gonna get some whipping for trying to save a person's life. And if only Katniss realized this, she'll find out. That's Gale's friend. Leave him alone. Anyway, sorry. Let's probably get to the. It's hard to want to get to the trivia because I like some of the things that happen. Okay. Oh, she's gonna shoot her instead of slacking her. PETA wants to get involved too. You're killing all the victors of District 12. Where if you end up killing them all, there are no victors in District 12. Next time it's the Fire Squad. He hasn't said it yet. It's the Fire Squad. Now he said it. Yet. There will be a next time. Yeah. Yeah. Get out of here. Um. Anyone out after dark will be shot on sight. PETA, get the snow. They have to save Gail. Okay. They're about to announce the next quarter quell, so I don't want to get into the trivia when they're doing that. But okay, let me hurry and give you all the trivia. Okay, okay, behind the scenes trivia. Here we go. Hunger Games, Catching Fire, raw fish. During the scene where Katniss, Finnick, and PETA eat. Oh, okay, so we're having scenes that haven't happened in the movie yet. During this is a during the quarter quell. Now that hasn't even started yet. We're still doing aftermath stuff. Okay, anyway, during the scene where Katniss, Finnick, and PETA eat fish in the arena, the actors were eating real raw fish. Jennifer Lawrence and Sam Claflin both liked fish, making it a different, difficult scene to shoot because they trivia. Sorry, I have something in my throat. So apparently, the actors who play PETA, Finnick, and Katniss all like fish, and they have to. Oh, they all dislike fish, and they all have to eat fish in the movie. So anyway, it was a difficult scene to shoot. Makes sense. Cold water. The Reno waters scenes were filmed at a water park south of Atlantic, where the water temperatures was barely 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Interesting. Mag stunt double, the 80-year-old woman from District 4 who volunteered for Annie. That has not happened in this movie yet. I'm not hearing anything trivia wise for the first 43 minutes that we watched of this. Okay. Mag's stunt double, actress Lynn Cohen, who played Mags, was executed from entering the cold water at the request of director Francis Lawrence, who directed all the films but the first one, to protect her health. In the scene where Finnick carries her on his back, Sam Claflin actually tripped on rocks and dumped them both in. Oh, ouch, that's sad. Dumped them both in the water. Wow. Yeah, there is a scene when they get into the arena where he's holding where Finnick is holding Mags and they trip. So okay. Um, let's see. Let's see. Architecture targets in the straining center archery simulator scene. Katniss holographic targets mimic her upcoming opponents through spears like Brutus hurling, axes like Joanna, and carrying tridents like Finnick. Okay, very cool, right? Story and world building trivia. So that was Hunger Games behind the scenes trivia. Now this is in story trivia. So here we go. Are we almost at the quarter quell? We are. We're getting there. So hang on. Maybe we want to stop here for a second. So President Snow's just watching the footage where Katniss stood up for Gale, and and tried to risk getting shot just to protect a District 12 person, and Snow's not pleased. There's Haymitch. He's watching. He has eyes everywhere. Never, you can't ever hide anything from President Snow. Peeta, wow, there's Peeta. There's all three of them. And that's the quarter quell, right? Yep, that's a wrinkle, all right. You're gonna change the games to punish Katniss. This is not what the quarter quell was originally gonna be. There's a delayed scene where Plutarch, and I think it's right after that scene we just watched and before this one, where he goes into the lab and burns the original envelope for the 75th games and puts a new one in there. Even the strongest cannot overcome the Capitol, the power of the Capitol. Third quarter quell. Sistine pool of victors! Now, when you first hear that, I was confused on what that meant. But then I figured it out. Everyone who's won the games in the past are now going back into the games. Not everyone, but one male and female from each district. Katniss is not happy. Peeta's not happy. They're the only winners from District 12. Katniss knows she's going back in. Haymitch has a 50-50 chance with Peeta. It's not looking good. When you're in the career districts, it's easiest to be like, okay, phew, there's 10 winners. I doubt they'll pick me. I'm a 10% chance. Woo! But not here, not in District 12. Anyway, Katniss is having her PTSD again. She can't handle this. She just survived the game. She doesn't think she can do it a second time. She's traumatized by it. I was doing a theory once where what if we did another Victor Quell in the future for the 100th games? What if if the games continued? What if the fourth quarter quell? What if we combined all three of the first three quarter quells into one, where we have 48 tributes, 24 of them are randomly reaped 12 to 18-year-old children. But they're not reaped. They're being voted upon, just like the 25th games. So 24 people being voted upon from each district, one male, one female tribute being voted upon, and then you have 24 victors, one boy and one female from each district. So it's victors versus children. Whoever won this Victor Quell would obviously have a chance to go into the games a third time. I was like, I think that's unfair. I know Capitol's evil and stuff, but I don't think we should be that evil. So I think the person should not go in the arena a third time. Third time's a charm, not for the Hunger Games. And so anyway, I was like, okay, whoever would have won if Katniss didn't blow up the arena, whoever would have won the 75th games would be excluded from this quarter quell. Same with anyone else who won a quarter quell in the past. So that would be Haymitch. So in order for District 12 to have one male, one female tribute, or one male and one female victor, they would have to have two more winners within the next 25 years from this point. And so anyway, and obviously the 25th winner doesn't exist. But anyway, you know what else is interesting? It's usually District 12 that almost wins every quarter quell. Not really. Not for the 25th games, but like there was only 6 players left by the time Katniss blew the arena, so there is a high chance she could have won the quarter quell. And Haymitch won the 50th, so it's like kind of crazy if District 12 wins all the quarter quells. Most theories suggest that Katniss would not win, though. It would be Johanna or Finnick. So I guess I would have to agree with that because they're more logical in the book than I am. So maybe they have better combat. Anyway, but they would be excluded for the 100th games. Anyway, I did that theory once. I also did a theory of what if President Snow's granddaughter and Primrose Everdeen switched places so that the granddaughter can experience what it's like to live in the districts, and Primrose can experience what it's like to live in the capital. I mean, she doesn't need to be in the capital to realize how evil it is. But anyway, switching places for a day would kind of be cool. President Snow trying to kill her own, bombing District 12 and killing his own granddaughter. Oh my goodness. I'm glad it's not that violent. But anyway. All right. After the reaping, we'll get back to the trivia. You know, in the first movie, the reaping happened way at the beginning, like in the first like 5 minutes, I'd say. And now it's this we don't get to this point until 50 minutes into the movie, and it's actually about 12 to 13 chapters in the book. That's crazy. Anyway. Yeah, Effie is not happy because she knows it was going to be Katniss. See, remember when Katniss volunteered for Prim? Peeta's going to have the same thing. Effie has a sigh of relief when she finds out it's not Peeta, and then she's like, oh, "No, Peeta's volunteering," and Effie's not happy. That's the thing. You can volunteer for a tribute, but there's nothing you can do after that point. You can't volunteer again. So anyway, anyway, so yes, if Hamish was picked, then and Peeta volunteered, there's nothing he can do. But if Peeta gets picked, then Hamish can volunteer, and there's nothing Peeta can do. So anyway, too bad Hamish's name was picked because now Peeta could volunteer. And I bet President Snow was smart enough to think that Peeta would volunteer anyway. So I mean, I think it is again. It's probably rigged. Both of those slips in there could have said Hamish. Anyway, and it would have been nice to see Katniss and Hamish. Hamish is the main character of his own prequel. Katniss is the main character of the original trilogy. She gets more Hunger Game movies and books than any other character. You're not going to do a trilogy on a prequel character, are you? No. I think it would have been cool now that Katniss and Hamish have both had their own book and own movie on their own particular 74th, 50th games. It'd be nice if they shared a games together, like not as mentor and tribute, but as tributes. That would have been probably cool to have Hamish. And here's the smart strategy. Here's what I would have done. I can't believe Peeta's stupid because, like, look. You barely got out of the first Hunger Games, the 74th games, right? Normally they don't allow two winners. That's rare. If you don't want to lose Peeta, why not have Hamish go in, right? I think that's what Katniss wanted, but Peeta doesn't understand. Have Hamish go in as the male tribute, so that way Peeta stays in District 12 and watches the games, right? And if Katniss wins as the only victor, then they can still have kids and be married, according to the capital favorites, right? Only Katniss won twice and Peeta won once. Anyway, that's what they could have done, so that way they could both stay alive. Keep Peeta alive by not having him go in the games. But again, I guess Peeta wanted to stay by Katniss's side, and wanted to go into the games with her, I guess. But would have been smarter not to, despite how much you love her. You are dealing with all experienced killers. You're right. These people have unlike the other kids. These people have killed before. Unlike even the career tributes, when they're in training, they don't kill when they're in their academy in districts 1, 2, and 4. They save it for the games, but they learn how to kill. Anyway, but this is different because not just the career tributes, but everyone has experienced not just learning this stuff and and actually killing people, so they know how to win. You're going against previous winners here. Or previous survivors. There are no winners in the Hunger Games. What am I saying? Hamish quotes that. Survivors. It's about staying alive. Yeah. This is when they're watching everyone's games, and they totally they definitely skip Hamish here in the movie, but it's in the book. we get a whole, I think it's smart so it doesn't sound repetitive for a movie standpoint. So I guess that's okay. But we get a whole movie on him later. Why we're doing this marathon in the first place. We're getting a whole movie of him later in November by the end of this. Yep, and go there. All right, the reaping has long passed. So we're 55 minutes into the movie, so we are going to go back to the trivia. Last time I told you trivia about raw fish, cold water, Mag's stunt double, and Archie targets. Those are all behind the scenes trivia. Now let me give you some story and world building trivia. Are you ready? This is just for Hunger Games, since we didn't do trivia for Hunger Games last time. The Mockingjay pin. In the movie, Katniss gets the pin from a local old woman at the hop, whereas in the book, Mag's Mage Undersea, the mayor's daughter, gives it to her. So we have a specific character who gives her the Mockingjay pin in the book, but in the movie, it's a random old lady who's not important to the story. Anyway, Aox definition: the mute servants in the capital whose tongues were cut out for treason are called Awoxes. I was reading about that the other day in Catching Fire, and I did not understand that. And then I realized, oh yeah, I remember these from Mockingjay in the movie because they have an Awox as part of their squadron in the war. But anyway, they don't talk about them much in Catching Fire. And anyway, President Snow's smell. Okay, Snow always smells fainty of blood and roses because he wears a genetically altered rose over a bleeding sore in his mouth to cover the scent of poison he drunk. President Snow loves drinking a lot of poison, but somehow he's still alive and it doesn't kill him. He drinks poison in Sunrise the Reaping as well. Somehow he survives another 25 years. When tributes eat poison, they die, but when President Snow eats poison, he stays alive. Finnick and Katniss are talking for the first time, and they're sharing secrets with each other. And Katniss is an open book, and anyway, he's just trying to be all chatty. Yep, you have to get in line, as Peeta says, if you want to know their secrets. Hey, there's I was gonna say Seneca Crane. No, he's dead. There's Cinna the stylist. Anyway, he gave Katniss another girl on fire dress. It's different than her last one. I mean, I think her last one was also black on the chariot ride, but she's gonna throw out the smokes. Everyone's yelling out Katniss when she turns on the fire. She hasn't turned them on yet. Oh wow, Caesar Flickerman is happy to see Katniss and Peeta again. These are all Capital favorites because they all won, and now the Capital has to choose one favorite out of these 24. Bam, 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 bam. President Snow. This time he's not sitting down until they call him to go live. He's just standing there all ready to speak. Anyway, he turns on the fire. Snow's like, oh, come on, Katniss. Fire in the house, Caesar says, and his friend. They're all yelling Katniss. Now they're yelling Katniss. Okay. All the chariots have made it to the training center. They're all circling around President Snow. Bam, 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 bam. This is the same music they had in the first one. Don't invite him over. He'll drink up your liquor. Yeah, I don't know if I want to hang out with those people. Okay, now that the chariot's over, let's get back to the trivia. Yes, this is an elevator scene where Joanna streaks in front of Katniss and Peeta. We don't need to be watching that part. I'm not going to skip over it though, so you can stay in sync. So feel free to keep watching if you want. I'm going to read some more trivia, okay? Let's see. So we talked about President Snow's smell of poison blood and Aox's and Mockingjay Pin. Okay, here are some story trivia about Catching Fire. Are you ready? The Clock Arena, the 75th Hunger Games. You know, we haven't even got there yet. We're still training and preparing for the games, but at least we're now preparing. Before I was saying we haven't even got to the thought of the quarter quell yet, but no, now we're past that and we're in the training center. Anyway, all right. The 75th Hunger Games, the third quarter quell arena is built in the shape of a 12 hour clock. Each hour brings a distinct hazard, starting with lightning from 12 to 1, followed by blood rain, fog, and jabberjays. So, how's that trivia? We all know this. Past quells. I like anything that talks about past quells. I love reading. Let's read this. The first quarter quell required each district to vote on their tributes. Yes, we knew about this. I was talking about for the 100th games, we combined voting, doubled tributes, and victors. Anyway, the first quarter quell required each district to vote for their tributes, and the second quarter quell doubled the number of tributes for 4 per district instead of 2. Okay, yes, that's silly trivia. Okay, the Hob bombed. After the Barry stunt, the Capitol bombed the Hob. Okay. That's something I don't remember from the book or the movie, but okay. District 12's Black Market to show Katniss they knew she inspired a rebellion. Oh, that might be when, like, okay, it says when they ate the berries, but I do remember when Root died, District 11 started a bomb. But this says District 12 did when they ate the berries. Huh, interesting. Now that was an interesting trivia. I love the quell. Anything about a quarter quell is my favorite trivia. The Clock Arena was kind of a quarter quell, but it was mostly on the 75th games. This one talks about all of them. The past quells one. Anyway, so the Hob Bommet, the past quells, the Clock Arena. Woohoo! Um. All right. So okay. I have more trivia. Don't hang on a second. Okay. Okay, more trivia. Are you ready? Okay, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Behind the scenes movie trivia for Mockingjay book. So these are so I've been giving trivia about the movies. This is about the book and the movies. Okay? Here we go. Books behind the scenes movie trivia. Grawling Reaping Shoot. The reaping scenes was filmed outdoors in North Carolina, excuse me, in temperatures exceeding 100 degrees Fahrenheit and 37 Celsius. Wow, that's hot. The hundreds of children extras had to stand for hours in the heat. To thank them, the main cast stayed late to sign autographs for them. That's nice. After all the heat they had to stand through. Physical training and muscle gain. Jennifer Lawrence underwent 8 weeks of intensive cross training, including agility, tree climbing, running, and she climbs trees in the first movie. So I mean, yeah, and running and archery under an Olympic archer. So someone from a celebrity from the Olympics taught Jennifer Lawrence how to do archery. Josh Hutcherson, who plays, Peeta Mellark, had to gain 15 pounds of muscle in a short period by lifting weights and eating massive amounts of chicken. That's cool on him. My brother does the same thing. Okay. The swear jar. Because there were minor actors on set, like Amanda Sturbird and Willie Shields, the older cast members utilized a swear jar. Director Gary Ross, who only directed the first movie, because the other director, I can't remember his name at the moment, that we said earlier, directs the sequels, noted that Jennifer Lawrence contributed to the vast majority of it. Okay, because there was kids around, they made it a swear jar so they wouldn't swear in front of the kids. Um, oh, look at the training center. Katniss is shooting people. Mags is watching. Anyway, back to the trivia. Alternative cast rules. Alexander Ludwig originally auditioned for the role of Peeta Mellark before being cast as the villainous Cato. So the actor who plays Cato was going to be Peeta Mellark, and then he got casted as the villain instead, Cato. Like not present Snow villain, but like villain for that, just temporary, right? For that Hunger Games. He was kind of evil. He didn't care about family. He just wanted to bring pride to his district. That's why Katniss killed him in the end. But anyway, Cato. I mean, he was briefly mentioned in this movie when they did the Victor tour. But anyway. Speaking of Cato, people from his district, winners from from his district, are in this game though, so they probably know him. Anyway, so it's interesting. I can't imagine him being Peeta. That's crazy. Let's see. But he was deemed too young. Oh yeah, so the reason why he wasn't Peeta was oh no, similarly, Isabella Furman initially tried to be Katniss, but she was instead of Jennifer Lawrence. But she was deemed too young, and same with the guy who played same with the guy who plays Cato. They were too young and was cast as Clove instead. So Elizabeth is still in the Hunger Games. She's cast as Clove. So the girl who plays Clove and Cato, I think they're from the same district. They were going to be Katniss and Peeta, but then they were too young, so that's why they're not. Anyway, real sucking pig. In the scene where Katniss shoots an arrow into the game maker's roost pig, the production. Hey, that's funny because we're watching them do this. Not. This is the second one, right? But like we're watching them do their training scores, and this one has to do with the first movie's training score. And I was telling you earlier how this movie doesn't mention that they got a 12, but it's in the book. Anyway, that's kind of funny because in this one, Katniss just hangs a dummy and writes Seneca Crane on it. But and in the other one, she shot an arrow at the game makers. So it's kind of funny how we're reading this as a different training session is happening. And this is the catching fire, but what I'm reading is from the first Hunger Games. Anyway, um, so she shoots an arrow into the game maker's roasted pig. The production used 3 real roasted pigs across the long hours of filming to ensure the food always looked fresh on camera. Effie's name script. A mission despite being one of the most recognized figures in the franchise, Effie Trinket's first name is never spoken out loud once during the entire first movie. That's interesting. So how do we know her name's Effie Trinket? We read the book or we watch the sequels because it just says first movie. Invention, the control room. In the first book, everyone is seemed entirely from Katniss's first person perspective. Yes, we're watching it. We're watching the first movie from Katniss's perspective. The movie's creative team purposely invented the high-tech game maker control room cutaways to explain the science fiction elements and show the immediate manipulation of the arena to the audience. So in the book we're seeing things from Katniss's point of view, but the reason why we break Katniss's point of view in the movie is because they want to try to give us some immediate manipulation of the arena to the whatever that means. Anyway, so wow, that's a lot of trivia for just the first book. We had rolling, reaping, shoot, physical training and muscle gain, right? The swear jar, alternative casting role, with the Cato and Clove, real sucking pig, when Hannah shoots the pig, then Effie's name script, and how she didn't have a first name until the second movie, invention of the control room. So yeah, wait, what was the control room about again? Oh yeah, okay, yeah, the Katniss's point of view thing. Okay, all right, the book lore and page to screen differences. Here we go. Are you ready to hear this? Book lore and page to screen differences. This movie is half over, and man, I still got a lot of trivia to read. Okay, the origins of the pin In the book, the Mockingjay pin is given a Katniss by Mage Undersea. This one was already. I guess I put this in here twice. Please forgive me. The mayor's daughter and one of Katniss's new few friends. In the movie, Megs is entirely omitted, and Katniss finds the pin at the black market hop from an old woman named Greasy C. So before I just mentioned it was an old woman. So this one is different because it mentions the old woman's name. In the movie, it's a girl named Greasy C who gives Katniss the Mockingjay pin. But we know it's someone else in the book. It's the Mags one, not Mag from District 4, but Madge. I can't say that name right. It sounds close to the Victor of District 4. Anyway, whatever. But she's entirely cut out of the movie. She's not in the movie at all. She's just in the book. Anyway, Katniss's permanent injury. At the end of the first book's arena event, the explosion of the careers supplies leaves Katniss completely deaf in her left ear. She remains deaf until the Capitol medically repairs it after the games. Ironically, Jennifer Lawrence did temporarily lose hearing in one ear during the second movie's water stunts. Okay. So even though that didn't happen in the movie, Jennifer Lawrence did accidentally get deaf for a second during filming. One thing I will notice is that Katniss and Thresh in the first Hunger Games, when Thresh was saving Katniss's life, it was Faru, right? They had a longer conversation, so that's definitely something different from the book and the movie. They had a longer conversation in the book, and then oh wow, Joanna Mason loves to swear. And let's see. Sorry, it was back on the movie for a second. Something else I want to point out about like Katniss's injury. Oh yeah, when she's about to eat the poisonous berries with Peeta, they cut out the entire scene where they are about to kill each other and they put their weapons down and they stand back to back and try to eat the berries at the same time. And where in the movie they just look at each other and try to eat the berries. Anyway, it's a longer scene. Anyway, so I guess when I lied when I said the first movie mostly goes by the book. They do take some longer conversations out just to make them shorter, but in the first movie, it's more. In the second movie that we're watching right now, it's more action packed, and so they take a lot more out. But anyway, it's a Katniss's interview almost. Wow. Okay. Permanent injury. Let's see the mutations. True horror in the book. The canon mutations sent into the arena at the end are generally engineered explicitly with the eyes and features of the fallen tributes. Katniss recognizes the deceased tributes' hair and eyes in the beasts. Horrific physiological detail omitted from the film adaptation. Okay, so cool. I don't really care about that one. Peeta's amputated leg. Sorry, I cannot read anymore. Due to the severe blood poisoning from Cato's sword wound, the Capitol has to amputate Peeta's left leg from the knee down at the end of the first book. He spends the rest of the book trilogy using a prosthetic leg. Well, we don't see that in the movie, do we, huh? They do have, when Katniss and Peeta do find each other in the first movie, Arena, they cut out a lot of conversations between them. Anyway. And a lot of hikes and days together. Anyway, they just tried, they're trying to make the movie go faster. So I'm going to see how, that's going to be very hard in Haymitch's games because some of them are pretty boring and they're okay to skip over, but Haymitch has less conversations with people and he has more action-packed things in the arena. So I'm worried they're going to cut things that I really like out, and I hope they don't. All right, anyway. Let's see. Rest of the book trilogy using the... yeah, okay. So we just covered the origins of the pin. Again, Katniss's permanent injury, the mutations, true horror, Peeta's amputated leg. So there you go. Now we're on to Catching Fire, book and movie. So all that trivia was for the book and movie of the first book, and then we had some book lore and page to screen differences. Now we're going to move on to Catching Fire stuff, book and movie trivia, and page to screen stuff. So stay tuned because I have a lot more trivia to read. Katniss just burned her wedding dress and became a Mockingjay, and President Snow's not happy. He's gonna kill Cinna. He's gonna kill two Cinnas, Seneca Crane and Cinna. That's probably they're not the same name. Maybe I'm mispronouncing. Excuse me. They sound the same. Oh, Caesar, this is your fault. You chose to put Cinna on camera so President Snow knows who to kill. Oh no! Okay, now it's Peeta's interview. I just know Cinna's gonna die. I've seen these movies before. I'm just watching them with you guys, reacting to them with you guys instead of by myself for once. Oh. I'm gonna see how much trivia I have left. I'll let you know if I'm close to being done because last time talking about how I fell in love with the Hunger Games took the whole movie. This time the trivia that I promised you last time is gonna take the whole movie. Mainly because I have to do trivia for both movies since I didn't do it last time, but still. 1, 2, 3. Four. Oh, we're not even halfway, guys. Maybe we won't get to all the trivia tonight. We'll see. I want to just watch the movie, but hey, we're on Catching Fire though. We're finally on some Catching Fire trivia, so that's going to be related to what we're watching now. I can hear the audience say, "Get off the stage." Katniss is faking a pregnancy so that they can stop the games, but anyway, we'll see if they cancel the games. Unfortunately, President Snow's too evil, and he won't stop the games even if Katniss is pregnant. So yeah, how unfortunate. They're gonna go to the games. So remember, they always have the interviews the night before the games. Usually, okay, in the movie, the games start at around 1 hour, and we're at an hour and 20 minutes. So wow, we're already like through most of the movie, and they haven't even gone to the games yet. The games only take like a small portion of the movie. Oh man, they have to go to the games. How sad. They do cut out a scene where Peeta and Katniss are talking on the rooftop. They do cut that out, not just their 12 scores, but that too. Stay alive. Yep, that's Payment's advice. In the first movie, it was actually stay alive. In the second movie, it's remember who the real enemy is. there's there's still new advice each movie, even if it's still stay alive. Yep, they say that in the Mockingjay Part 1 and 2 as well. Aw. Katniss has to say goodbye, knowing that it might be her last, and she's probably not going to win these games this time. Peeta and Katniss are going to sleep together. It's daytime. They're knocking on the door to tell you to wake up. Yep, it's time to wake up. Get to the games. All right, back to trivia. For catching fire this time. Behind the scenes movie trivia. Real world hearing injury. Jennifer Lawrence suffered a burst eardrum and contracted major ear infections while filming the spinning cornucopia scenes, leaving her partially deaf for weeks. Wow. Woo. She lost her hearing twice in the first and second movie. Plutarch is really sparing Katniss's life and making excuses to President Snow, saying that he's trying to save her death in the bloodbath, or for getting her hands dirty, or staying in the games a little longer. He keeps making up excuses to keep Katniss alive, and how long is President Snow going to realize that Plutarch is a rebel, just like she is? Anyway. Let's watch her get her hands dirty first. Man. Oh, this is when Cinna dies, right? He's saying goodbye to Katniss, but once she gets in, the two people die. Okay, what was I saying? So yeah, Jennifer Lawrence lost hearing again. The elevator incident, the scene where this is the scene I tried not to look and kept reading trivia when it happened. The scene where Joanna Mason strips completely naked in the training center. Elevator was filmed in a real functional hotel in Atlanta. The hotel remained open to the public during production, meaning Malo was occasionally stripping right in front of actual hotel guests. Oh my goodness, thank goodness I wasn't at that hotel when she did it. Okay. Massive wedding dress. The stunning capital wedding dress worn by Katniss weighed between 25 and 30 pounds. Cool. Designed by Inno Sadil designer Tex Severo, it features layers of mental plating and organza, making it incredibly difficult for Lawrence to move around in. Oh, the wedding dress was hard to move around in. That must have been hard to film. Anyway, IMAX is the next trivia, but Cinna's getting tortured, and that's distracting. Katniss is going into the arena. Finally, she's going in the arena an hour and 23 minutes in. So you go from like 1 hour to an hour and 23 minutes. You spend an extra half an hour, basically, or 23 minutes, not exactly half an hour, in preparing for the games. But that's only because you didn't, unlike the first games where you start with the beginning with the training process of the games. You did the aftermath of the previous games. So first one didn't have aftermaths of the 73rd game. So I mean, no victor tours for whoever won before Katniss. Anyway, one. Yes, now the games have officially begun. So anyway, yeah. There is a chance that whoever won the 73rd games, though, would be in this quell. Possibly. Depends who won. If it was a career district, then possibly not, because there's a lot of winners there. But there are some districts that are like 12 that don't have a lot of winners to choose from. So 73rd games could be in here. I think Finnick won the 72nd games. Oh, the stretch. Okay, Katniss has her bow and arrow. Last time she didn't even get it until later in the movie, but she has her bow and arrow now. Back to the IMAX. Here we go. Okay, yeah. IMAX. So Finnick and Katniss are teaming up now. Now that the games have started, I can focus on trivia. Unless you want to watch the games. I'm gonna read some more trivia. IMAX version shift. Director Francis Lawrence used the screen aspect ratio as a storytelling device. The entire movie is shot in standard widescreen from format until Katniss steps into the arena elevator. As she rises into the arena, the screen literally expands into full vertical IMAX format to overwhelm the audience with the new environment. Huh. So as soon as they go into the arena, I think. Let's see. As yeah, as soon as we just watched that part. They just arrived into the arena and they got started. This is made in IMAX. That's crazy. This part is in IMAX, guys. Um. Okay. Recasting Buttercup. In the first film, Prim's cat Buttercup was played by a black and white cat. Author Suzanne Collins pointed out that this explicitly contradicted the book, where he is a rag ginger cat named after a buttercup. The filmmakers recast the cat in Catching Fire with an orange tabby to stay true to the text. So that's why I know a lot of people like the first movie because it definitely does not go by the book when it could. Not I know not everything's by the book, but like there are some things that you can easily go by the book. And whoever that director was for the first movie did not do a very good job, especially with the shaky camera. So luckily they got a better director and things are looking better for the sequels. That's why people's favorite are Catching Fire and other things. And hopefully Sunrise of the Reaping as well. And Songbirds and Snakes. I heard Mockingjay is some of the least favorite. But anyway, let's see, where was I? The filmmakers recast the cat. Yeah, we read that. Okay. Rejecting Ed Sheeran. Musician Ed Sheeran wrote and submitted 3 different tracks to be featured on the Catching Fire soundtrack, but the production team ultimately rejected all 3 of them. Oh, so they made 3 songs and they were all rejected. Cool. Well, there are still songs in Mockingjay and Songbirds and Snakes. So if Catching Fire doesn't have any, that's fine, except for the credits. Okay, so wow, that was a lot of trivia. Real world hearing injury, the elevator incident, massive wedding dress, IMAX version shift, recasting Buttercup, rejecting Ed Sheeran. Wow. His music, yeah, rejecting his music. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Woo! That was a bunch of trivia. Well, the first one had 7 though, so we got a little less trivia on Catching Fire, but that's okay. One less is not a difference. Okay, so that was the Catching Fire book 2, and we're not doing Mockingjay. We'll save that for the Mockingjay commentary. Hang on, there are some book lore and page to screen for differences for Catching Fire. Let me read those. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, how many did the first book have? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, so again, remember how the first book mentioned 7 trivia paragraphs, and the second one I wrote 6. Yeah, well, guess what? There's 5 for the book lore to page from page to screen book lore for Catching Fire, and 4 for Hunger Games. So that equals out. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna read these 5 really fast. Okay. The Runaways in the Woods. A massive subplot cut from the film involves Katniss encountering 2 runaway fugitives from District 8 named Bonnie and Twill. I kind of mentioned this. This was cut out. I found this out in the book and they cut it out of the movie. In the District 12 woods. They are the ones who first revealed. Um, they are, oh, so these people from District 8, Bonnie and Twill, in the District 12 woods, they are the ones who first revealed to Katniss that District 13 still exists underground, tracking it by the recurring image of a Mockingjay flying across the Capitol's live broadcast of the ruins. Okay. That was obviously cut out of the movie. So, she doesn't find out until after she blows up the arena. But, in the book, she found out before. She just didn't fully believe until the end. Hey, that was that was President Snow's granddaughter, hoping that she falls in love with someone like that someday. And President Snow, knowing that she's innocent and just a child, doesn't blame her for wanting to fall in love like Katniss. Right? And so anyway, she's like, you'll find someone to love someday. Again, President Snow's granddaughter. We don't see much of her in the book, but they kind of add her a lot in the movie. So quite a bit. She shows up here and there, and so it'd be nice to get more of her. I wonder what she thinks when President Snow dies. And what she thinks of her grandfather, of how evil he is. Anyway. All right. Anyway, the runway in the woods was cut out of the movie. And same with Katniss coming back to find the electrical fence was on. But it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. They had to speed through it, to make it shorter. But anyway. So that's 1 out of 5. 4 more. Here we go. The matching set Avoxes. The book heavily details the cruelty of the capital through the Avoxes servants with severe tongues. Katniss discovers that one of her designed capital servants is Duras, a friendly former District 12 peacekeeper who tried to stop Gale's public whipping. He was turned into an AWOX as punishment alongside a girl named Lavinia. So the guy who tried to save Gale from the whipping, there was a peacekeeper who tried to save Gale from the whipping. I guess it's not in the movie; it's in the book. He ended up becoming an AWOX, and yeah, I hope he has punishment alongside a girl named Lavinia. So there's a boy and a girl from District 12 who are AWOXs. I hope by the time the war ends, they get free from that slavery. I hope they get to join the rebellion actually, and if not, then when the war's over, they get to live in peace. Okay, all right, okay. So that's 2 out of 5. 3 more. The details for the past quarter quells. Remember how we just read about that earlier? I have more notes on that. This is my favorite. I love talking about quarter quells. Here we go. The details of the past quarter quells. The book gives explicit details about the history of Panem's twisted anniversaries. 25th games, first quarter quell. Districts were forced to vote on which children to send to the arena themselves, tearing families apart from within. I want to see a movie on that, honestly. Sorry that we've already got this trivia before, but I'm going to read it again because I love it. We know the 50th quarter quell. It's talked about a lot in both the movie and the book. And they made a book called Sunrise of the Reaping, and there's a movie on that as well. We're gonna see this quell soon. 50 game, second quarter quell. Here we go. The capital reaped twice as many tributes, 4 per district, for a total of 48. And guess who was from District 12? Luella, Hamage, Maisley, and Wyatt. Yeah. And then Lulu, because Maisley died. And then I can't remember the boy's name, Connor or somebody who was supposed to be tribute, but then ran away, and that's when we got Hamage. This is the legendary game that Hamage Abernathy won by using the arena's force field to bounce an axe back at his opponent. That is in the book, where we will see that, along with Maisley and all of them. Everything that Katniss watched about Hamage's games will be revealed. Capital Lies. We'll get the full truth when the movie comes out. And also, I've already read the book, so what do you mean? I already got the truth. But I can't wait till we'll watch the movie. Anyway. All right. So that was the 50th and the 25th games. I counted those as 2 separate things. 1, 2. So that's 4 things. One more thing. Are you ready? Here we go. Gale's whipping catalyst. In the film, Gale is whipped by Peacekeeper Thread for physically tackling him to protect a citizen. In the book, Gale is caught red-handed, carrying on out of season wild turkey that he hunted in the woods, proving that District 12 was systematically starving and forced to break the law. And yeah, Gale, he always breaks the law and goes hunting with Katniss all the time. And then when they brought in stricter peacekeepers, obviously, it was much easier to get caught and get in trouble for it, and that's why Gale got whipped. Anyway, it didn't really show much of that in the movie, but anyway, it just went straight to him getting whipped. But anyway, yeah, and that's how he got whipped in the book. If you haven't read the books, and you want to know how that happened. Okay, that covers. Wow, all the trivia for the first and second movie, almost. Almost. That's all for now. There's still one more page. Okay, yeah, there's still one more page of trivia we have to read through. Oh my goodness. Okay. So we read through that trivia. And we read through this one. Here we go. One last page of trivia, and we got 50 minutes of the movie left. I'm going to try to finish this trivia. Okay. Woody Harrison. So this is production and cast trivia. Okay. First movie. Woody Harrelson rejected rejected Harrelson turned down the role for Hamish Abernathy twice. I didn't know that. Director Gail Ross had to personally call him and plead with him to take the role, stating he couldn't envision anyone else playing the character. Woody's so wow, that's interesting. The director wanted this actor so bad, Harrelson, so bad that even though he rejected the role twice, he wasn't going to give up. Just like Michael J. Fox in Back to the Future, when they had Eric Stoltz. Woody's vegan diet. Woody Harrelson is a strict vegan, which meant Hamish is never shown eating meat on screen because he's a vegetarian. Okay. Only bread, raw vegetables, or drinking. Interesting. The $30,000 wigs. Hair designers Linda Flower retended 5 separate 6,000 lace front wigs, exclusive to test different brute net and red dye formulas for Jennifer Lawrence hair without damaging her real hair. Interesting. So that's Effie's hair. Digital arrows. For safety reasons on set, Jennifer Lawrence rarely shot real arrows near other cast members. Nearly all arrows shot during combat scenes were rendered via CGI in post production. That makes sense. You don't want to kill your actors. That's against the law. Garlic and tuna kissing pranks. Jennifer Lawrence intentionally ate smelly foods like raw onions, garlic, or canned tuna right before romantic kissing scenes with Liam Hemsworth to mess with him. Wow. So she would make her mouth nasty before kissing Peter Millar. Oh my goodness, Jennifer Lawrence. Gross. Or the actor who plays Peter Millar. Anyway. I'm glad they don't actually kill kids in real life. I'm glad they use CGI to make it fake so that way, you don't get in trouble. Okay, anyway, casting near misses. So Max just died. That's sad. There's the fog. Casting new misses. Shally Woolley, Haley Stevert, and Sarah Ronald all auditioned for Katniss. Meanwhile, David Harry, Wizard of Waverly Place from Disney Channel, was a runner-up for Gail Hemsworth. Interesting, but they never got the part. All right. Rila Plakchen mining town. District 12's impoverished scene was I brought up too much trivia, did I? Because it's taking up the whole movie. Scene was filmed at the abandoned Henry River Mile Village in Hilder, North Carolina. Deep book lore and cut storylines. Okay, so deep lore and cut storylines. Here we go. Are you ready? So that was real appealing, meaning town, cast near misses, garlic and tuna kissing, digital arrows, the $3,000 wig, Woody's vegan diet, Woody Harrelson's rejection. Okay, now moving on. Hamish's reaping replacement. In the novel, Hamish is so utterly intoxicated during the reaping ceremony that he stumbles out onto the stage, tries to hug Effie Trinket, and falls face first off the stage into the dirt, knocked out cold. That's in the book, not the movie. Wow. Woo! He's drunk after all. The origins of the Capitol Mutts. The film downplayed the terrifying reveal that the wolf tributes were made using the actual eyes, fur color, and vocal cords of dead tributes, like Rue and Glimmer, which traumatized Katniss' uh, physiology. Anyway, cool. I was thinking about it. Those lions, those mugs at the end of the first movie. We don't see them as tributes like the book because the movie tries to stay PG-13. Anyway, random thought. Sleeping syrup tricks. In the books, Hamish sends Katniss a smell sponsor parchute containing capital sleep syrup. She disguises it in smashed berries and feels it and feeds it to Peeta. So he will pass out, allowing her to sneak away to the cornucopia feast to fetch the medicine within him, trying to stop her. Okay, last one for the first movie. The bread from District 11. After Rue dies, citizens of District 11 pull their meager money to send Katniss a loaf of dark precinct ration bread into the arena. First time a district ever sponsored a tribute from outside their own borders. Interesting. The first time they gave food to another district. Wow. Districts are not usually friendly. They are always against one another, hoping that their tributes will win. But wow, they gave Katniss bread for helping Rue. How nice. I bet they wanted her to win. All right, so that was Haymage's reaping face plant. That was the original of the origins of the capital mutts. That was the sleeping syrup trick, and that was the bread from District 11. Moving on to Catching Fire. So we finished all the trivia for the first movie. Let's finish the trivia for Catching Fire with 45 minutes left of the movie. Oh, look at all these monkeys about to attract Finnick and Katniss. We've been really talking mostly about the first movie, I feel like, and then a little bit about the second movie. We haven't actually been talking too much of what's happening as it's happening, which is good because I've done too much of that in Once Upon a Time. But still, it's crazy. We're still doing probably a little too much off topic of what's going on, but anyway, that's okay. I'm now making up for all the trivia I didn't share in the first movie. So now let's finish the trivia for the second movie. Here we go. How many was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Woo! Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Only 9. Okay. So not much. So there's 2 less trivia notes on Catching Fire than there was in the first movie. There's definitely more trivia on the first movie than there is in the second. Both movie and book-wise. Wow. Okay. They did equal out at one point, but now there's 2 more trivias about the first movie than there was about the second. Okay, let me just get through these last 9 real quick. This is for production and cast trivia. Monkey mutts. Okay. IMAX camera noises. The massive IMAX 70mm cameras used for the arena scenes were so definitely loud that all actor dialogue spoken around the cornucopia had to be completely recorded in post-production using ADR, automated dialogue replacement. Cool. IMAX again. We're back to IMAX. Real Hayward jungles. While the water basin was a chilly Atlantic water park, the deep jungle was filmed on location in Moana Valley and Vimy Valley in Ohio. Ooh, Hawaii, good. Real sugar cubes during the scene where Finnick offers Katniss a sugar cube. Sam Claflin revealed he had to eat roughly 2 to 3 whole boxes of raw sugar cubes across countless takes. Sam Claflin's physical injuries. Claflin broke a finger during stunt training and frequently injured his knees when running barefoot over the slippery artificial arena rocks. Cool. Donald Sutherland's letter. Donald Sutherland was so deeply moved by the political subtext of the script that he wrote an unsolicited multi-page letter to the director titled The Mind of Snow, convincing the filmmakers to add several original scenes expanding President Snow's domestic life of granddaughter. We kind of talk about her as she showed up in the screen. So anyway, that's pretty cool. Sutherland's letter, Donald Sutherland's letter to his granddaughter. That's sweet. Okay, so that's he might be an evil President Snow, but the actor's a good person in real life. I can assure you. I heard he's been in other things and he's done great. So we had IMAX camera noise, real Hawaiian jungles, the real sugar cubes. These have titles. Sam, I should have mentioned that in the beginning, but that's why I've been repeating myself a little bit. Sam Claflin's physical injuries and that Donald Sutherland's letter. So there you go. Now for the deep book lore and cut storylines. Okay, 4 more things to say here, guys. Everyone had to run to the water just to get healed and run away from the monkeys. Anyway, there's a threat every hour. They're gonna soon find out it's a clock. 40 minutes left. How great is that? We watched an hour and 45 minutes. Oof. That's crazy. An hour and 45 minutes. It's 8:50. Wow, our 2 hours are almost up. Unlike the first movie, that's in 2 hours and 15 minutes. This one's 2.5 hours, so we get 15 more minutes of commentary, which could be good or bad. But bad because I'm almost finished with this trivia here, and I have nothing else planned to say. Oh, the claws coming down to pick up the dead tribute in the water. Aw, someone sacrificed themselves for PETA, both in the movie and in the book, and he doesn't even know her name. I don't even know either. Maybe if I reread the book again, I'd find out. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, does it? Deep book lore and cut storylines. Okay, I'm gonna read these in a second. Just want to make sure I know what's going on in this movie. This is when they find Wyrus, right? Yeah, they team up with Wyrus and Beatty, and they become allies. They're winners, and they're in Sunrise the Reaping. These characters that are in the Quarter Quell, they're in Sunrise the Reaping as well. You might want to remember them. Though we won't ever do a marathon for Sunrise the Reaping because the movie doesn't come out till November, and even when we get through all the movies, I can't record in the movie theater. So I'm saving this when we react to Sunrise of the Reaping. It will be on the 4th of July next year, which it takes place on the 4th. So I think that makes sense. So yeah, I look forward to doing that with you guys on the 4th. But in the meantime, we'll watch the other movies. It's crazy. We're making it through 2 movies, 2 down and 3 to go. We're about halfway. If only they didn't cut Mockingjay in half, huh? Splash! Speaking of Mockingjay, I know my schedule says that we'll do 3 weeks of Mockingjay and then do either both films back to back or 1 week apart. I think we're still going to keep them 3 weeks apart because, again, we have 18 weeks till the movie comes out. And here's what I'm thinking. For the book marathon, it's going to stay the same. But for the movie marathon, we're going, I'm going to stay the same. I'm going to watch them back to back. But as far as my live streams on YouTube and Facebook go, I think as far as watching the movies with you guys, we're just going to react to part 1. Wait 3 weeks, which I'll be about halfway through Songbirds and Snakes by then. We'll watch part 2. And then we'll wait another 3 weeks. So when I finish Songbirds and Snakes, I'm not going to react to the movie with you guys. I'm going to start Sunrise of the Reaping. Once I get one third through the Sunrise of the Reaping, we'll watch Songbirds and Snakes together. And then obviously there's only 3 weeks till the movie comes out. And I would watch Sunrise of the Reaping, but they don't let you record in the movie theater again. So anyway, no movie there, but that's how we're going to separate 3 weeks apart because I told you it's going to be an 18-week marathon, and that is because Mockingjay is split in half. That is enough to watch one movie every 3 weeks. So, for the movies wise, we'll just do one every 3 weeks. But book wise, since Mockingjay is not cut in half, we'll after tonight's movie, I'll be ahead. Basically, I'll say that. By the time we watch Mockingjay Part 1, I'll have finished Mockingjay. So, we're not completely ahead. I'm not completely ahead of the movie schedule, but when, we'll watch Part 2 when I'm already halfway through Songbirds. Anyway. So, we'll just do that. The movie marathon is going to be different than the book marathon. That's all I'm saying. So, TikTok from Wyrus. I'm going to finish the rest of the trivia now, okay? We got 30 minutes left, so I may as well hurry and finish reading so we don't have any trivia left for this movie by the time we watch Mockingjay Part 1. Hopefully, now that we don't have to make up for 2 movies, the trivia shouldn't take all the movie, and we'll be able to follow the characters as they go through this journey. Anyway, sorry about that, by the way. Okay, so deep book lore and cut storylines. Here we go. Katniss and Plutarch's dance in the book. Head game maker Plutarch's Heavensbee dances with Katniss at the Capitol party and deliberately tips his hand early by showing her a gold pocket watch with a shiny Mockingjay holograph, hinting at his loyalty to the rebels long before the Quarter Quell begins. That's interesting. So, we don't know about the Rebel Plan until the Quarter Quell starts, but, on the Victor Tour, Plutarch Heavensbee kind of hinted at it well before the rebellion started. Anyway, that's cool. District 8 failed uprising. Before the Quarter Quell announcement, Katniss learns through District 8 runaways that a violent textile worker rebellion erupted in District 8 immediately after her victory tour, only to be crushed by Capitol airstrikers. Oh, that's kind of sad. That happened at District 8. Failed uprising, right? Well, luckily, Katniss starts a better uprising after the Quarter Quell, and then the rebellion from District 13 is a lot better than what District 8 would have done, I guess. But District 13, present coin, is just as evil. Whatever. The Victor Tolerant. In the book, the Capitol requires every Victor to adopt a recreational talent to showcase their integration into Capitol luxury. Katniss cannot paint her or play music, so Cinna designs clothing that she pretends to design herself, while Peeta takes up high-end canvas painting. Interesting. Haymitch's full 50th game tape. Oh, remember now, this is the tape that Katniss and Peeta watched in the book, but not the movie. Katniss and Peeta watched the archival Capitol broadcast of the 50th Hunger Games, the second Quarter Quell. They discover that Haymitch won not through raw muscle, but by discovering a force field barrier at the cliff edge that repelled anything thrown at it, which is why when what's her name? No, what's her name? I can't remember it. Drusilla. Was it? No. Uella. No, what was her name? Truzella. No, what's her name? I can't think of it. What's her name? Silka. When Silka from Sunrise of the Reaping, Silka, when she throws we've talked about this trivia already. When she throws the hammer at Haymitch, it hits the force field and comes back and kills her, right? Anyway, Katniss and Peeta are watching that. Let's see. When they're watching that, and they find out that Haymitch won based on the force field. Anyway, that replied anything that was thrown at it. When that last career tribute threw an axe at the skull, the ducked, allowing the force field to fling the axe back into her own face. Yes. I just explained that. Why did I just read it? I didn't know I was going to say the same thing, I guess. So that covers the trivia for Katniss and Plutarch's dance, District 8's failed uprising, the Victor Talents, Haymitch's full 50th game tape. That's crazy. All right. That almost wraps up all the trivia. Almost. Here is a final round of some of the most special trivia. Let me see. That was a lot of trivia. So here's a final round of trivia. I lied. I know I said that was going to be it. But I just have one final round starting right here. Here's one final round of the most specific trivia focused on high on-set details, technical adaptations, and background Easter eggs from The Hunger Games and Hunger Games Catching Fire. Don't worry, these lists are a lot shorter. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4 from the first movie and 1, 2, 3, 4 of the second movie. So we're almost done. And there's still 30 minutes left. I'm going to rest my voice before I share some final trivia. Shoot him! Do it! You can do it! Katniss! Shoot the Mockingjays! Or Jabberjays, sorry. It's not Annie, and it's not Primrose. Anyway, how else did it get that sound? Yeah, Jabberjays copy sound. Anyway, it's just a trick. They must have recorded her voice and then threw the birds into the arena. Recorded her voice back in District 4 and 12 and then threw them in the arena. Annie is just as special as Primrose. The hour's over. Yep. There's a new thread every hour, and the hour's over. Those are they. Oh, yeah. They're gonna hang out with Joanne at the beach for a second. I'm gonna finish this trivia once and for all. Okay, last four things from the first movie. Okay, the infamous camouflage mud. Josh Hutcherson, who plays PETA, revealed that filming the scene. They're coming back for Sunrise of the Reaping. By the way, I don't know if you know that they're coming back for the epilogue. So Josh and Jennifer Lawrence are coming back. All right. Anyway, Josh Hutcherson, and then Woody's Woody Harrelson is also coming back as well. All right. Anyway, final four for each movie. The infamous camouflage mud. Josh Hutcherson revealed that filming the scene where PETA camouflages himself as a rock was incredibly uncomfortable. It took hours of sitting completely still in the freezing mud in the mountains of Asheville, North Carolina, and the crew constantly had to check the area for wild snakes. Ooh, that's scary. Let's see. They were sitting on a rock, was incredibly uncomfortable. It must have had snakes on it. It took hours of sitting completely still in the freezing mud. Freezing mud. Wow. They had to check for snakes to make sure there are no poisonous snakes around. We don't want to kill our celebrity actors here, do we? Scary. Real arm industry tech. The sleek, futuristic firms carried by the Capitol peacekeepers aren't completely fictional props. They are heavily modified versions of real FNP 90 submachine guns, a Belgian made weapon intended for personal defense. Interesting. Wow, wow, wow. Go detailed on the guns that they are using in the Hunger Games that Capitol Peacekeepers are using. I don't need to know what the gun type is. I don't really care about that one. Elizabeth Banks, long long nails. Elizabeth Banks, Effie Trinket, who plays Effie Trinket. They're, by the way, not the actor, but the character's coming back, a younger version of the character. A younger version of all the characters from the original trilogy are coming back, except for those who weren't born like Katniss and Peeta. Whatever. Okay, I'm tired. Elizabeth Banks, who plays Effie Trinket, had massive, elaborate, custom painted Capitol fingernails for her costumes. They were so long and restrictive that she could not unbutton her own clothes or use the restroom within assistant crew members. Step so she couldn't use the restroom without assistant crew members stepping in to help her. Wow, wow. So if she needed to use the bathroom, she would have to call in her crew members, and they'd have to get her out of that dress. It'd take a while. Hopefully, she didn't have to go too bad. PETA's PETA's father's visit. PETA's father's not in the movies or books. This is interesting. I saw his mother, but not his father. A touching moment cut from the first movie. This is a scene that's not in the book or the movie. They just wanted to add, but it's a scene they wanted to add, but it ended up being deleted as a deleted scene. So anyway, might be on the bonus features if you buy the DVD. PETA's father visit. A touching moment cut from the first movie involves PETA's father visiting Katniss right before she leaves for the arena. Huh, interesting. Katniss is so wait. Touching moment from the first movie involves Peeta's father visiting Katniss. Why Katniss and not his son? That's interesting. Right before he leaves for the arena. Wow. Right before she okay, that's weird. That's heartbreaking. He brings her a box of cookies, ooh, and promises her that he will personally ensure Prim and her mother are fed while she is away, showing a rare act of kindness from the Millark family. Wow, they're abusive to Peeta, so I'm surprised he had a nice father there. That's not in the books, so wow, they were going to add that from the movie. This is why you can't adapt everything from the book to the movie. Not because it's too violent or there's not enough time, but you make your own content when that content could be better spent adapting the book. Honestly, that girl who gave Katniss the Mockingjay pin in the book could have actually been in the movie if they didn't waste that time on Peeta's father. I mean, they did end up cutting it out anyway, but still, there's probably other things like the game makers and the scenes with Seneca Crane and President Snow were not in the first movie at all. Anyway, it's okay. It's a good movie. It's good. I'm not judging it based on that. You know, you can add your own things, cut out your own things. It's still good. It still adapts from the book. Anyway, is the main focuses of the storyline are there, just not the small details. It's fine unless you change it completely. All right. So that was the final four trivia's for the first Hunger Games. The Infinite Camouflage Mud, you know, that reminded me of PETA. Real Arm Industry Tech, wow. Capital Peacekeeper Guns. Elizabeth Banks Long Nails, you know, Effie Trinket. And then again, another PETA thing, PETA's father's visit. Wow, Louise scene, cool. That wraps up everything from the first movie. Now it's time to wrap everything from the second movie. Last four things from the second movie. Oh, I'm getting tired of reading, but I'm glad we're almost done. Yep, luckily this is the final round, right? Of trivia. Okay. The Mahogany line callback. Okay, this is interesting. Oh, Katniss and Peeta are kissing. They also talked about how they can't both win this game, you know, because they can't repeat the same mistakes as last time. So anyway, one of them has to die and the other has to live. Honestly, Katniss shouldn't live because President Snow wants her dead, so I think Peeta should win. But no one's gonna win these games. They're gonna end them sooner rather than later. Additional lore and film trivia. Now it's Catching Fire. Additional lore and film trivia. Okay. It is what you predicted. Yep. Plutarch is going to go in the game making room while President Snow enjoys the games. Yeah, make yourself comfortable, President Snow. He's about ready to get them out of the arena. Katniss just has to break the force field. They're just mentioning the deaths. Games are coming to an end. Yep, we're almost there. Wyrus died. That's sad. Poor Beetee. Mags died. Oh, poor Finnick. Okay. There's only like 10 people left or something. All right. Let me read these final four things. All right, ready? The Mount and Mary line callback. Okay, the Catching Fire. Effie snaps that is mahogany. Remember when they're on the train and Katniss wants to know how to win the games and Hammond is not cooperating, so she throws a knife in his fingers. Okay, anyway, this is Monopoly. When Katniss is poking around, Elizabeth Banks actually ad-libbed that line. She thought of it on the spot as a direct callback to the first movie when Katniss stabs the table during her training dinner. Wait, this is for Catching Fire and it's about the first movie? That's crazy. She was gonna do it again. It was her. She said it again in the second movie when Katniss was eating dinner in the training center. So to do a callback from the first movie, she said that line. in the second movie. I didn't. Out of all the times I watched this, I haven't heard that line. Maybe it's deleted. Maybe they cut it out. I don't know. But she said that line. That's interesting. She said it again. Okay. The endangered monkey moths. The terrifying monkey mutations that we just saw earlier, not that long ago in this movie, right before Joanna and BD became allies. The terrifying monkey mutations that brutally attack the victors in the fog are significantly grounded. Okay. The VFX, that's when Max died. The VFX teams at Weta Digital model their muscles structure, bright coloring, and facial patterns directly off the real world African mandrill, which is an engine which is an endangered primate. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. The A113 Easter eggs. Here are some Easter eggs. Here, ready? When President Snow is watching video monitors of the games from the Capitol's room, the code A113 can briefly be seen on the screen. This is a famous historical animation Easter egg referring to the classroom number used by graphic design students at Paul Arts frequently hidden in Pixar movies. Like, yeah, A113 is in Monsters Inc. So, wow, they must have had to. This is Lionsgate. They're not Disney affiliated, so they must have buyed some rights to use A113 for from Pixar to put in their movie. Interesting. Interesting. I didn't know that. That's cool. Frequently hidden in Pixar movies. Yeah. Mostly famous for Monsters Inc., but it's in other Pixar movies as well. Never thought Pixar Easter eggs would be in Hunger Games. High fashion. Oh, last one, guys. We're on the last trivia. Are you ready? High fashion wardrobe. Effie Trinket's extreme high society outfits in the second movie weren't just standard Hollywood costumes. Many of them were real, incredibly rare runaway pieces pulled directly from the Alas, the Alexander McQueen fashion house collections. Oh, and those must have ran out and expired, so that's why they're pretty rare costumes. Cool. So that was all the rest of the trivia for the second movie. The Meganic line callback, the line from, that's Mahogany from Catching Fire when Effie Trinket says that. She said that in the second movie as well. The end damaged monkey mutts that we just saw earlier in this movie. There's that. The A113 Easter egg from Pixar, and then the high fashion wardrobe, the rare costumes Effie Trinket wears in the movie. They're not just Hollywood costumes; they're rare costume fashion from Alexander McQueen. Interesting. Now that we covered a massive catalog and all the catalog trivia for the first installments, of the first two movies, we are done. Anyway, so yeah, understood. We can stop right here if you ever want to revisit Pan Am Breakdown. That's just let me know. Have a great day. Yep. I decided this would be enough to cover the whole movie, and so I was actually almost right. Look, Katniss is about to shoot her arrow and break the arena. We're really at the end of the movie now. I guessed enough trivia that would last the entire movie. I was using AI to help me come up with trivia. I told AI to stop right here. I think that's good. If I told him to come up with more, we wouldn't have time to cover it in this movie. We'd have to save it for the next. So luckily, that's not the case. We're ready to move on to Mockingjay Part 1 trivia. Next time. That's all the trivia. They did send us a video at the beginning, though. Wonder what it's about. Oh, it's a quiz. It's a quiz to see how well you know the Hunger Games. We'll not worry about that. Okay, so that's all the trivia. Wow, that was a lot. So back to the movie, I guess, right? Candace is about to shoot the arrow at the force field. She was gonna kill Finnick, but then luckily she had to remember who the real enemy is. It's President Snow. She's gonna get struck by lightning. It's the tree. Watch out! She's gonna get shot. Finnick goes in to try to save her, but it's too late. Katniss shoots her arrow at the force field of the arena and shuts down the games for good. We don't even get to know who wins. Most people say it's Joanna or Finnick, but I like to believe it would be Katniss and Peeta for making it this far when there was only 6 tributes left. Luckily, they're going to be part of the rebellion, and no one else is going to have to die. So technically, we have six winners. We go from one winner to two winners. Candice Beta. Now we get six winners. Anyway, yep, you lost power. President Snow's not happy. He's going to burn District 12, and then he's going to try to get Plutarch Heavensby under arrest, but he'll already be in District 13 when that happens. Too late. Anyway, Kenneth already broke the arena, and now they're just trying to clear the construction so that they can grab a hovercraft in and take her up. She definitely destroyed the arena there. Yeah, causing fire all over the arena. Yep. And a big claw comes to pick her up. Okay, let me see. Is that all my notes? All I had was trivia and the story of how I fell in love with the games. So I think that is it. There's a couple things I want to talk about, but I'll save it for the credits. Sorry. I'm trying to turn this off. Freak! The video I clicked earlier would just not turn off. That's what I was trying to do. Sorry. The claw is picking up Katniss. That's all I'm watching right now. Sorry. She's now in the airship heading over to District 13. There's Beatty, who's going to be in a wheelchair by the time we watch Mockingjay Part 1. Okay. So, no, that's pretty much all my notes for this movie. I have nothing else to say, but luckily the movie's almost over, so hopefully it doesn't get too awkward as we have a few more minutes left. Right? They just saved Katniss from the arena. Who knows what the winner would have been. I will talk about this. Okay, so I just had things I was going to say for the credits, but I'll just talk about one of them right now. Um, so you remember how I told you my Hunger Games tribute page? If we got 20, right now we only have 19 members. It's definitely not growing very well. I made it in July, and now almost a month and a half later, it hasn't really grown much. That was the same with Once Upon a Time. And then after we finished our marathon, it suddenly started getting 200 views a week. It has like 600, well, not 200 views a week. It was like we had 200 by the end of the marathon, and then we got 400 by the end of the month of July, and then 500 by the end of August. So we've been getting a lot of members on the Once Upon a Time side of things, but Hunger Games wise, we're not getting a lot of members. So please go join the Hunger Game tributes. I posted the link many times on my channel, but anyway, I could post it again. But anyway, but yeah, go join my Facebook group. If we get 24 members, I'm gonna do a Hunger Games with those 24 members. I'm gonna put them in a Hunger Game simulator. I have 6 online Hunger Game simulators, and we could use all of them. But in order to use all of them, let's see, 24 times 6. How many tributes is that? 144. We need 144 members. That's way Once Upon Times in the 500s. If we want to use all those simulators and record a live stream of us playing the Hunger Games, we need to get 144 members. Well, only 24 just to do one Hunger Games. But if you want to see all the simulators, I save them all in my Google book tabs. I save them in my Google. I save them to my Google tabs, so I can easily access them without having to search them on Google. Because last time I had to search through them through Google, but I saved them. As soon as I got 19 members, I decided to start saving all my simulators, so then that way they would be easy to access by the time we did get 24. But no, I did this like 2 weeks ago, and we're still stuck at 19. So please help me out. So subscribe to my channel, yes, but go be a member of my Hunger Games tribute page on Facebook. Let's see if we can get 24, and we'll play Hunger Games together. I know it's traumatizing to put you all in the Hunger Games simulator, but it's just a simulator. It's just an online game and not trying to kill you in real life like President Snow. I'm not that evil. So anyway, it's just fun, especially when you're a fan of the Hunger Games. It's just something you can do for fun. So anyway, so I have 6 simulators. That was my one thing I wanted to say. I'll save the rest for credits because the movie's almost over. But anyway, now you know. I have 6 simulators and I like to show you them all. But you have to get enough members in the group page to do that. So anyway, Gail just told Katniss that there is no District 12. It got destroyed. We mentioned that as she destroyed the arena, but now the confirmation's there. So yeah, now she definitely wants to rebel because of all the people in her district that she loved died, right? Now she definitely wants to get revenge on President Snow. So that's where we end things, right? And we say, to be continued for the rebellion. Look at our rebellion. It's the Mockingjay pin, right? And it starts by playing the game. Then it starts by turning into a quarter quell clock. We played 2 Hunger Games. Now we're done playing the games. We're going to bring it to war. As the bird flies almost free, but because it's split into 2 parts, it's not fully free. It hasn't quite broke the circle, but it's about to. That's what part 1's about. It's about to break the circle, and then it will finally break the circle, and the arena will be over. So yeah, now it's playing credits. Before we get into the last couple things I want to talk about, notice that the first 2 movies have games, but Mockingjay does not. It lacks the game aspect of things. It's going to be hard to react to because those are my least favorite movies too. It's going to be hard to get through them, but with enough trivia, I'm sure we can survive. The only problem is that I had to catch up on 2 movies, which barely took the whole movie. So if by any chance just doing trivia on only Mockingjay Part 1 takes only half the movie, then we'll have to find something else to talk about. But we'll worry about that when we get there. Right now we have 3 weeks until that happens. So yeah, I hope you all had a great night. We're still gonna play through the credits, so don't worry. The live stream's not ending yet. We're gonna wait until the credits finish. The credits are 9 minutes long, so 9 minutes left of the live stream. I have just 3 more things I want to talk to you about. 4 things because of the 6 simulators, but now that we got that out of the way, I just have 3 things. I was gonna do a compilation video. Earlier on my channel, I did a compilation video of the Sunrise Reaping trailers. I was gonna do a compilation video of all the other Hunger Game movie trailers combined, including Sunrise and the Reaping, which was gonna be a 45-minute video. I ran out of computer storage, ended up not doing it. And then I tried doing it again, audio-wise, and I got copyrighted for it. I got in trouble, so I decided not to do that. I also did get a warning when I did Sunrise the Reaping compilation, but I was really in trouble when almost a YouTube strike for doing all the trailers. So like when I made the Once Upon a Time movie, I guess they didn't care whether I made a Once Upon a Time movie trailers, but since Hunger Games has stronger rights and it's more popular, it's easier to get copyrighted for those. Once Upon a Time, I was able to kind of get away with the trailer, not watching the episodes, but like getting away, showing the trailers. When I made the Once Upon a Time movie, which is the still most popular video on my channel right now, I did get away with it, but again, and I avoided copyright because Once Upon a Time, it's popular, but not as big as Hunger Games. But with Hunger Games being more popular and bigger, it's hard to do things like that, make a Hunger Games movie trailer, but it's okay. It would have, again, only 40, because it's not a TV show, there's only 5 movies and not a lot of trailers to go off on. Even with duplicates, I barely made it. Just one trailer alone for each movie is like 10 to 15 minutes. But to do duplicate trailers and to do as many trailers as I could find, it's 45 minutes. So you can't even make a whole movie of just Hunger Games trailers. But, I mean, maybe with the next prequel book, you can make it up to an hour, but not quite an hour and a half. So, anyway, long story short, you can't make. YouTube won't let me make a little mini movie of the Hunger Game trailers like I did with Once Upon a Time. So, unfortunately, you're not going to get that. I wanted to react to the Sunrise Reaping trailers with you, but back when I made the compilation video, but then I got too lazy and didn't want to talk, and so I don't know if I should still do that. I'm mostly focused on reacting with the movies with you guys, but anyway, because we don't have Sunrise the Reaping movie available to us, even by the time it comes out, because it's only going to be in theaters, trailers to the Sunrise the Reaping could be a good replacement, but it doesn't cover a whole 2.5 hour movie length, so it doesn't, it's not long enough to be worthy as a marathon piece. But anyway, I already made a compilation video of all the trailers, so it would technically be a replication of the same thing, but me reacting to it. So I don't know if it's much of a different. I think the trailers are great though. They're fun. Hamish Abernathy and President Snow are definitely in it a lot, and Lenore Dove as well. And we get to see Sid in the final trailer that came out on July 4th of this year when I did the reaping part, right, for my cousins, right, and siblings. Anyway, but yeah, right now I don't feel like it. So for now, there are no videos coming. I was going to do a prep video before this, but I got caught up in work and life. So just be glad I got the trivia ready for tonight. But at least I did that. But every single time we react to a Hunger Games movie, there's always going to be something I come unprepared with. And last time it was the trivia. This time I have my trivia, but what I came unprepared to do is a prep video, like a couple days beforehand, like I did with the first one. But anyway, you know the drill. I mean, get your own copy of the movie. We start at push play at the same time, and then we just talk. So I mean, and feel free to leave comments in the live chat, but in the comment section. So I mean, obviously, I don't think you need a full on prep video. There were some things I didn't want to waste talking about in the movie, and I ended up wasting the entire first movie talking about how I came in contact with the Hunger Games. The whole prep video of last time was just to make sure I didn't do that, and I did it anyway. So I don't think a prep video is going to really stop anything from happening. I'm just going to spend the whole movie talking anyway. This time I'm glad I didn't do that, but the trivia ended up taking the whole movie, which I kind of expected, but I didn't entirely want it to take the whole movie. It's okay. It almost did, but we did kind of talk towards the end, after we were done. So it didn't technically go all the way to the credits, but it almost did. That covers trailers. I just have two more things I want to talk about. So we did the 6 simulators, the trailers. My collection. Do you remember my collection? My Hunger Games collection I showed you last time. I still have the stuff here from the last time we watched Hunger Games. There's the Mockingjay pen. There's this, right? I already opened these for you. The other Mockingjay pins in here. It's just the first movie Mockingjay pin for both of them. I found out the other Mockingjay pins for the second, third, and prequel books, Songbirds and Snakes and Sunrise the Reaping. They all exist. So let me know. Maybe I should collect those as well. The first pin is obviously more popular and they use it in all the movies, but because each symbol is different, just look at these books, guys. Just look at these books. See how they're different? My sister is still borrowing Catching Fire. She hasn't read much in the last 3 weeks. See how they all have different symbols? All of these are pins. You can get them. Even the Catching Fire one, which I don't have right now. I showed you that book last time. So yeah, a lot of these things are still here. When I showed you them last time, I stacked them all on this side of my camera, and they were still there up until I started this live stream. They were even still here moments before I went live tonight, but I had to move them aside to make space for my computer, right? So I knocked my whole stack over, so they're not exactly where they were last time anymore, but they were there up until we went live tonight. So just so you know, I didn't even touch my Hunger Games stuff or put it away since I showed you my collection. I think that's it, right? That's all, right? Yes, that's it. Oh, this is the last thing. I told you, unlike Once Upon a Time and Back to the Future, I don't collect a lot of Hunger Games things, but my collection's small, but I have the CD audiobook for Sunrise the Reaping. So that's pretty much my whole Hunger Games collection. I mean, last time I opened these up and actually showed you what was inside these DVD stuff, but I don't think we need to do that this time because I did that last time. So anyway, my Hunger Games collection. I just wanted to let you know it's still here. Okay. One last thing I need to talk about. So I said 4 things. The 6 simulators. Luckily, I talked during the movie because there's only 2 minutes left of credits, and if I would have spent those 2 minutes during the credits, we would have been out of time. So thank goodness we still have 2 minutes left, and that I talked about one of these subjects during the end of the movie. So 6 simulators, trailers, collection, ranking them. That's the last thing we have to do here. Okay, if I were to rank them, books by themselves, I like Catching Fire. I'll say that Sunrise of the Reaping is my favorite. If we want to include prequels here, Sunrise of the Reaping is my favorite. It's the only book that made me cry. I really love rereading it. So I think that would go in my number 1 spot. then Catching Fire. I love Quarter Quills. I just love Quarter Quills. Okay, okay, and it's hard to choose between the two. But I think because Hamish lost more than Katniss is why I love the Sunrise of the Reaping a little better because it makes me sadder. Catching Fire, not as much. But it's their Quarter Quell wise, it's a tie. I can't choose between Catching Fire and Sunrise of the Reaping. But anyway, I'll put Sunrise of the Reaping higher because Hamish's story is more newer and fresh, and even though we already knew about his games in Catching Fire, you didn't even know the half of it. So anyway, that's why it's gonna go first because his story is even sadder. Then Catching Fire. I would say the first games, yes. I like Songbirds and Snakes as well, but um I'm trying to think. But yeah, the first one's better because it's more updated. I like the chariot rides and the interviews and the training center. I didn't like how Songbirds and Snakes cut that out. Even though the games were more newer and they didn't have that stuff yet, and they just started mentoring for the first time with capital citizens instead of district winners. Anyway, I know it was different back then, but I like the new way the Hunger Games involved too before they ended. So anyway, sorry. I'm gonna say so that's Sunrise the Reaping, Catching Fire, First Games, Songbirds and Snakes, and then Mockingjay is my least favorite because there's no Hunger Games in it. Even though they do storm to the Capitol and Gale says, "Welcome to the 76 Hunger Games," you know, there's somewhat Hunger Games feel to it. Mockingjay is the least favorite, even though Prim dies. Anyway, it doesn't affect me like it does with Hamish. So that's my ranking of the books. And the movie just ended. Let me rank the movies really quick. Movies, I feel the same way. Hunger Games, Catching Fire, then Hunger Games, then Songbirds and Snakes, then Part 2, Part 1. That covers everything I wanted to say in this live stream. Next time is trivia for Mockingjay Part 1 and our commentary for the movie Mockingjay Part 1. Until then, God be with you till we meet again. Have a great rest of your weekend as well. Bye, y'all.